I see him like this. He's expanding, and she's going with me. To your point, how do I find the thing that I'm doing that I do that will complement what he's doing and gives me my own feeling of fulfillment? Not like I'm, you know, when we're getting accolades, I'm looking at her like you're a part of this. And it's a good thing she's feeling, but there ain't nothing like saying, you know what, I led this thing and I did it and I brought it to fruition. So like soul purpose. These are the things that I've always wanted to see have happen for her, but it was like really trying to find that thing that she wanted to do. And landing on this space of her writing was something that she had always told me I needed to do. She was like, you should be writing. You should be all these things that you have. You know,
you're a bestseller too, she told me.
Yep, but it came after she basically, I'll use the term, she created the beachhead, and then I followed in her wake. She goes, you should be doing this. I've always told you should be writing, and then I started, and I had candidly, from where she is to what I've done, I've just dabbled in the writing.
And dabbling made you a bestseller.
But I know inside, I'm gonna be serious, I know inside that God has already, he's put a bigger story inside of me, and I've just got to figure out how to get that out on paper. Right? So, but people had always told me that, like, oh, you should write. And when someone calls you and tells you, like, oh, dude, did you see this book? What is it? You're in the book. I was like, what? They're like, you're in the book. And then I go and purchase the book, and I'm reading the stories in there, and I'm like, what?
Wow.
And they're like, you should write the book.
Right, exactly.
I was honored. I was honored that I had done something, and I'll say I got accolades from the military for doing it. You know, I had a Bronze Star Medal and all this other stuff, and so I felt good about that recognition. But then to know that someone felt enough of impact that they had to write a story about it. That was huge. So now you think where Cheryl was, she's seeing all this stuff happen, like, man, you're, you know, and I say this tongue in cheek, not in a regular, but she says to me, like, you're a legend.
That's what I was thinking, like, oh, something in my own house. I got a legend in my house.
And I said, sweetie, there's this thing you can do. And she's like, no, you got it. I'm going to just support you. And so it's been years to kind of get to this point where she's like, I feel comfortable of stepping forward and doing my thing. And candidly, I'm sure because of, you know, she's seeing all this stuff. I mean, this is the hard part to put together because I'm always trying to be careful of not trying to come across like I think I'm something that I'm not. But when she hears that, like, I'm on stage and I've presented to like 37,000 people to do this thing, she's like, I'm never gonna. I'm like, sweetheart, like where she is now, you'll be talking to millions of people with what you're doing.
Until you meet
millions of people.
The woman that we're talking about.
So she's,
you know, everything
awesome.
she says, I believe everything that leaves, and you met her. She sat right here. Everything that she says is intentional. With purpose.
Okay.
And I'm reminded of Maya Angelou. Did you ever see the documentary of Maya Angelou?
No.
When so she went through, there was a stage in her life where she went through abuse, and she decided she wasn't talking ever again because she wound up saying what happened, and the guy wound up getting murdered. So she felt responsible for that and went mute, right? But in that muteness, all she did was read books, and I'm talking about Shakespeare and from cover to cover. So when she finally decided to speak, it was purposeful. She said, nothing rubbish is going to come from my mouth ever again. And so every time I hear Cheryl speak, that's who I think about. You know what I'm saying? Like everything that she says is gonna. You want to listen. It compels you to listen. I remember I watched a Facebook Live. This is around the time we had first started the rehearsals, and I'm like, I want to get to know my folks I'm working with, you know. So I go on there, sneaking on Facebook, and I come across this feed from years ago, maybe about 2-3 years ago, and Cheryl shared how she was literally on the verge of suicide. And she talked about going to this one event where she was surrounded by successful women, and she was invited.
Women of power,
She was invited. She didn't even get the ticket and say, hey, I want to go. Someone said, hey, I want you to come with me. And she said she felt so out of place. She looked around and saw all these successful people and was like, I don't belong here. Hi, you know you. And she said, I remember her saying when she left, at the end of that event, she left feeling like, wait a minute, that I'm coming back.
Right.
But when I come back, y'all gonna know who I am.
Right.
Right? Y'all gonna know who I am. I'm gonna do something.
Yeah.
And I don't even think she had a map of what she wanted to do. I'm gonna do something.
Right.
And I'm gonna feel worthy enough to get back here. And she talked about coming back, maybe even a year later. I don't know if it was a year or two later or what.
Actually, it was longer than that. It was like 8 years later.
But she had her own suite. And she was just talking about
own
what
company,
she did.
Her name on the table.
Her name on the table. And I thought about that. Like, first of all, I could relate in so many ways of feeling not good enough. Feeling, not worthy to be in the mix. I'll be even with Soul Purpose. I mean, I'm surrounded by some powerhouse singers, some folks who have been acting for years, and I'm like, I don't know if I belong.
It's like, okay, Lord, did you really put me here? I guess you
was expecting to work the lights or the curtains or something, Father. You sure that's what you want to be? And so that feeling I could relate to, but to see who she is today. Oh,
but I think we, as human beings, we often forget from humble beginnings. Everyone that's great, they come from humble beginnings.
Right.
Everyone.
Exactly.
Even if someone that's born into the family of, let's say, your father was well known. Can you go off of your father's name? Like I was thinking about this, Denzel Washington's son. I was watching an interview with him. And that young man, he's very talented. But what he said in the interview, he says, I disassociated myself from my father, not because I don't love him, but because I have to do it. And so what we have to remember is that everyone great has to come from humble, small beginnings. You can't go off of, his wife can't go off of his name.
Right.
In order for her to explode, she has to come up. So, a lot of times, we, like you say, get intimidated. The thing about it is, especially if you're a person of God, woman or man of God, look at King David. God is going to put you in that position to meet those people for a reason. If that's what your calling is supposed to be, that is where you're supposed to be. Now, but still remain humble in it. That's the thing that we got to remember. Remain humble and say, wow, that's
and
what I think about.
Humble doesn't necessarily mean dimming your light either.
No,
that's a fine line too that I
Humbleness is what it really means is understanding where does your talent come from? Where does your gift come from? When the moment when you say, look at what I did. Look what I yes, you were a tool, but still you were given a gift. Everyone has a gift, whether it's speaking, whatever it is. But the moment we say, well, I did this. I went to school, I did this. Wait a minute, who gave you the tools to do that? So that's what humbleness means. It's not saying, woe is me, but it's saying, what, I have greatness inside me.
The moment you realize you're not alone is your finest hour.
was so far ahead of the time. So when I say Renaissance, that's, you know, saying this is an individual that say, you know what, I'm gonna find out a little bit about this. And very few people, even today, you know, most people that are a master, they master one thing.
One thing.
You know, whether it's technology, but very few people will go and say, okay, you know, I'm gonna, like, you know, like Russell did, you know, he said, okay, you know what, I was a sport agent, you know, think about all the things he's done. Like, wow, that's a lot, you know. So I'm impressed. You know,
when I went home last month, I was having dinner with my father, and I'm still learning the stuff that he's did. I'm like, you did that too? He's one of those that just have done everything. Like, okay.
You know, the moment you realize you're not alone is your finest hour.
We're talking about
When you can finally allow yourself to be seen as you truly are.
such as yourself to be able to go to, you know, different peripherals.
That's what intimacy is to me.
This scenario, so that you always emerge as the winner.
I have a question with regards to that. While you are coaching these young men, do you also, you know, try to inspire them, motivate them to have? Some people don't believe in having a backup plan, but being able to look at different forks in your career path or road. I know my dad had told me many years ago, son, have more than one thing that you're good at. Some people say, well, you know, if your dream is to be real estate, just focus on that. But, you know, what if, you know, and you could do that, but, you know, what if also you have this, you know, talent, you know, to be a music, you know, producer, you know, and keeping your options open. You could follow that dream of, this is all I've ever wanted to do, but, you know, let's take sports, for an example. How many young men say, you know what, all I ever wanted to do was play basketball. But then we know as far as the lottery goes, you know, hey, you know, I've heard so many stories, you know, torn ACL will knock you out. And then next thing you know, well, you know, my dream of being this great ball player has to be sidelined to, okay, what else can I fall back on? So I was just wondering, do you incorporate that to your young men that you know that you are, you know, motivating, you're speaking to as far as having more than just one path?
Well, before we get there, Russ, let's do this. Because apparently we can keep going on and on and just keep talking. This brother right here is forever.
Which is good.
Without the intro.
I learned from Silver Talk.
Definitely want to thank everybody for joining us here at the Eargasm Radio Network.
That's right.
Where we are now at the kitchen table. This right here is what we consider the kitchen table. We are at the present moment of doing the art of conversation. So that's what the segment is called, right? Yes. And so during the art of conversation, we sit around and we have great conversations. We talk about almost anything, you know what I'm saying, that kind of spark the intimate part, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody can have conversation, but sometimes we really don't have that conversation that have substance. You know what I'm saying? We want to talk about things that have substance, that kind of make a person think. Not along the lines of like Kanye West, which
Go there.
Free thought. You have free thought today.
but I'm just saying,
We'll talk about that later. We're gonna come bring that up later. Don't worry, Kimpo. We're gonna holler about that later.
and apparently there's a lot of people out there that agree more or less that slavery was a choice.
We're gonna open up with that right
But we're
now.
not gonna talk about that later.
I'm hoping.
And I digress. Right now, we'll come back to that later.
But however, I am your host, Silver Tongue, JK, you know what I'm saying? And I have some of my co-hosts, and we have a special guest. However, let's start with the guy to the left.
Ill Will. Thank you, man. Ronnie gave me my nickname for today. Hey, y'all. What's up, Kimpo? This is Ill Will back on the mic. How was y'all week? Mine was just wonderful. Hey, another glorious week. All right.
Ill Will.
Ill Will.
All right, here we go. Ill Will it is. I might call him Bill Will.
Ronnie gave me that name today.
Oh, Ronnie. Then we're going to start to my right. We have...
Nikki.
You're not going to introduce him.
No,
Did I come up with a name today? No. It's Nikki.
oh, we're not going to do Little Nick? You know what I'm saying? Nick?
No.
Nick.
No, just Nikki. That's
Just
it.
Nikki.
That's it.
All right, Nikki. And then we have, next to Nikki, we have...
I'm Ronnie. That's about all I got. It's not short for Veronica. It's just Ronnie. I really think my dad wanted a boy. My dad's name is Ronald, so I truly do believe he wanted a boy.
So that's where Ronnie came from?
That's where Ronnie came from. Yeah, that's the secret.
And then we have our special guest.
Yes,
Man of the hour.
Man of the hour.
Man of the hour.
The Renaissance man.
Yes,
We
sir.
have Russ.
Yeah, Russ Williamson.
Russ Williamson. Russ Williamson. We appreciate you for joining us today. We know that you're here to support your wife and her book,
Yes.
The Success. What is it called? The Success Factor.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Let me see the Success Factor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This right here
This
look like
is
this.
the 10th published
Yeah,
book. Is that
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
10th.
Yeah, I would have to say that this will be my wife's 10th book. She is not only the visionary for this book, but she's also one of the contributing authors within the book.
Okay.
So, yeah, round of applause for her for sure.
Definitely.
Outstanding job.
Yes.
We expect this will be her 9th best-selling book of the 10.
Okay.
And so we're looking forward to a successful book launch this weekend.
Okay.
And she'll also have book signing this weekend. That'll be held right here in Dallas at the Hilton Garden Inn on North Stemmons.
That's tomorrow,
Yes,
6:30.
tomorrow from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Get your tickets on Eventbrite.
Exactly. Hey,
Got them. We're registered.
We're registered.
Let's go.
Thank y'all for being
Gotta
here.
go.
Right.
Busy?
I appreciate it. Come on, nigga. Come on, nigga.
Nick.
I was about to go there, but I was like, come on, nigga. I want you to know. I'm going to call you what you said. So please do.
All right. And so with that being said, so with this being the 9th book, or the 9th book more or less to say, so the Success Factor, apparently from what you was explaining earlier, that it's a compilation of 10 women who kind of came together to write their success from failure, right?
Yeah, a little more, 12 women, actually, they're in the book.
Okay, 12.
Yeah, and I wrote the foreword for the book as well.
Okay, I thought you was
Yeah,
in the
so-
book, because I know you in the book,
Yeah.
and somebody's book,
I mean, somebody. Yeah,
not this book.
as long as I'm in the good book.
Say that.
So for those who don't know what a forward is, tell us
Yeah.
what is it that you wrote. You said you wrote the forward.
So I wrote the forward, and the forward is really, it's sort of a setup for what you're about to read.
Got it.
And it's also just to kind of highlight the topic, right? So the success factor. What does that mean? What is success? So for instance, as I write the forward, one of the things that I landed upon as I began to develop my thoughts around it is if you Google success, there's about 4 billion definitions or ways to define success around the world globally.
Yeah.
And so we all come up with our own definition of success, if you will. We all have a thought, a dream, a desire, some outcome that we are looking to establish that we will say, I've been successful or I am successful when I get there.
Okay.
And so just want to begin to generate your thoughts of why are you picking up this book right now and why you might want to go further and begin to read the stories.
Okay.
So that's the idea of the forward.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, not to kind of give too much information away from the book, But do the 12 women have different definitions of their level of success, or does it along the lines of, from a monetary perspective or from an accolade, you know, do they all have that similar, or is it something different?
There's something different from every woman.
Okay.
And again, as you were mentioning when you introduced the title of the book, they're all telling stories from the perspective of having started their own businesses and then gone through failures and now coming to a successful outcome. Okay. And they're all defined differently. So some of them may be anything from financial to spiritual, as far as what their success was and why they felt like they achieved that success or what that success factor was to help them achieve it.
Okay. Now, out of curiosity, will any of the 12 women be at the book signing tomorrow as well?
Yes.
Ooh,
the authors will be there. There will be 7 of the authors will be there that are in the book. Okay. One I know specifically couldn't come because of a loss within their family, death in their family, and then other challenges as far as scheduling and traveling for some of them. But you'll have 7 of the 12 authors in there. They'll share a little bit about their stories to give you just a teaser, if you will, of what's in the book, so they'll obviously get your interest and hopefully your desire to purchase. So, seeing that there's a umpteen billion definitions of success, what is your level of success? How do you define success? It's evolved over time for me, my definition of success. So as I've matured, I've learned a few things about life, and having done a number of different ventures, and having certain things that I indicated, one being financial as I defined as success. So I say all that to say, as I evolve into what my definition is, it's really about kingdom living. It's really about doing something for the Lord, right? So I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and what I've learned in that path, in that journey of my faith, is that we are all put here to glorify His name. And so at the end of the day, when I expire, when I leave this earth as we know it, my objective of success is to get into heaven. That He would look at me and say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And so that means a lot of different things. If I'm successful financially, how do I use those resources to build the kingdom? How do I take those and refocus them or funnel them in a way that may bring others closer to Christ, or help those that may be down on their luck? If I'm successful but in other material ways, how can I use those in order to elevate the kingdom, or to let other people know, as we were having a conversation earlier about just anchoring in on the fact that there's nothing special about me. There's nothing that I have that I don't have because the Lord gave it to me. There's nothing I obtained on my own, basically, is what I'm going. Is that is because of the grace of God, the unmerited favor of the Lord, that I am where I am right now.
Okay, excellent.
Have you always been that way? Where you literally felt like you want to give everything that you have, all of your talents, all of your gifts to God's kingdom?
No.
Like what let's honestly, we're talking about in the book how it takes failure to be successful, right?
Yeah.
Tell us, you haven't always been this way, right? So tell us a little bit more of how this journey happened and why we need to fall in love with our failures in order to reach that level of success that we want to obtain.
Yeah. So great question, and I appreciate you asking it, because that evolution that I referenced, I always thought that my successes were all driven by me, that they were all about what I did. And candidly, I've been saved since I was a teenager. But I've gone, my faith has gone on a roller coaster ride. My walk has been on a roller coaster ride. Yeah, exactly. So we all, we all fall short of the glory of God. And there's been a periods in my life where I really felt like, it's because of me or what I did or what I was doing is what got me to that.
Sure.
And I've been humbled in many ways because of that feeling, because of that attitude. And realizing that, the Lord was bringing me to that point, was humbling me to that point to give me an opportunity to recognize that He was the source and not me. And it wasn't something that I either schemed upon or I somehow contrived to help make this situation come about. It was because God had specifically put me there. And the reason why, for me, when I failed in business, why I embraced those failures, is because He was actually teaching me a lesson. He was actually putting me in a place to help develop me so that I could actually help somebody else. Right? So So when I fell down, or as you hear that old, I think it's a Chinese proverb. I think it might be Confucius, but fall down 7, get up 8. That every time I got up, the reason why I was up on my feet, one was to know that the Lord was still with me. Sure. He still had breath in my body, so I still had an opportunity to get it right. But then also the reason why I had that lesson or that failure was so that I could help somebody else along the way who may not have had the experience or the exposure to what God had been doing in my life, so that I could maybe help them get over that hurdle and realize that there was something more that they were purposed for. This wasn't the end of the road.
That's powerful.
Wow. Very powerful.
Okay. So, and we, I guess more or less we could sit here and talk about success, but we're mainly here to talk about the book, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, through the success factor, what caused your wife to write the book, or to come together to bring 12 women together to write this book?
Yeah, so, my wife is, again, this is the 9th book. She's helped almost 100 authors tell their stories. Wow. And so, in each one of her books, she has been the visionary, and she's brought a group of women and men together to share their different stories. And so as she's gone through a lot of these stories, she's read a lot of these stories, to see people emerge on the other side of whatever their situation or circumstances were, pointed her in that direction. And then she was recognized within the city of Dallas as a woman with the success factor.
Wow.
Oh,
and
wow.
she immediately embraced that, of course, being the accolades and the recognition for it, but then also noted that there were other women that were recognized for that, and say all of these women have different stories. All of these women should share these stories, because there's a number of and my caveat here is my wife is very focused on women empowerment and helping other women get up on their feet when they feel like there's no one that's helping me, and it's for all women. So this is a very diverse book. It's for women from various walks of life, various nationalities and ethnicities. Okay. But specifically with her being African American, she sees that the struggle that African American women have, and so she's thinking, what can I do? How can I help? As I have helped get myself up on my feet.
That's right.
And the young ladies here in the studio with us have heard a little bit and know a little bit about her story. And so as she has gotten herself up on her feet, she says, why don't we capture these other women that have stories similar to mine and share their path, share their journey, because the more we can get these stories out and other women, it'll inspire someone.
Listen, it inspired me. And if you don't mind, I'd love to share the story that I shared earlier today. I remember I had an opportunity to work with Cheryl on Soul Purpose, the play. And I wanted to explore the people I was working with a little bit. And so I went on to Cheryl's old Facebook Live feed, where she talked about more of her story personally and the struggles that she went through in her own life. And one of the areas that stood out to me was the fact that she felt like she was not worthy to be in the same room as other successful women. That hit home. Here I am, 39 years old, feeling like I'm not worthy to be around success.
Right.
Yeah.
What? That's real.
Yeah.
And I'm raising a daughter.
Yeah.
I'm raising an 11-year-old, and I'm raising an 18-year-old. And so imagine how hypocritical I felt telling my children, hey, you can pursue anything, live your dreams, chase them. And here I am feeling like, because of my struggles, because of my failures, that I'm not worthy to be in my position where I am amongst successful other people. So when I listened to Cheryl's story and how she pulled herself up by her bootstraps and said, I'm not going to live in this mental state of mediocrity anymore.
Yes.
And I watched her literally push her way to the level of whatever her level of success is. I said, surely I can do this. And so she's empowered me. And I don't even think she knows it.
Awesome.
So, let me throw that in there.
And we've benefited by that sense of empowerment that you have, right? So having the opportunity to witness you perform in Soul Purpose, to see you play your part, to see you, as you share with me, where you felt like, oh, can I do this? Then you were on stage. You have hundreds and thousands of people that watched you perform.
And people came up to me in tears about how that character impacted their lives. That blew me away. You got to think about this. I went mentally from a state of, I'm not worthy, to a state of people praising me, saying, I connected with you so much. And there's nothing you cannot do. I'm telling you, my whole entire mindset has shifted as a result.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so thank you.
That's wonderful. Yes. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, thank you.
It's amazing to know that, you know, in the society that we're in, we're supposed to be so advanced. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be so far, but yet still, mentally, we're still blocked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we need someone else to kind of have the key to help unleash our potential. You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy how we are so fast to put our business on social media instead of talking to our next door neighbors.
Right.
Wow.
You know, but yet still we want to be so private. They don't know my business, but everybody else knows your business.
Yeah, exactly.
You
That's
know?
a valid point. Very good. You know, that is you know what? And that is so interesting because it's an oxymoron. You know, think about it. You know, but it goes to show that as human beings, God made us to be sociable creatures.
Right.
Sociable creatures, but you have to choose your association wisely. You can't put your business out there for everyone to see. You have to choose, you know, as iron, there's a, you know, in Proverbs, it says iron sharpens iron.
Right.
But you have to choose, you know, you have to be wise enough, okay, who can I choose to sharpen me? Because not everyone will be for you.
Yes.
So that's another thing, and you know, going into talking about that, talk about the ladies as far as these 12 ladies. Do you think that they also found, you know, not just a bond in success, but a bonding amongst one another for, you know, like a new sisterhood?
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
you know, we'd like to talk about that. You know, what have the ladies, you know, spoke to you about, you know, as far as that sisterhood bond?
Yeah, certainly. So I'll just go from my experiences. Again, with this being the 9th book.
Yes.
And a number of the books that Cheryl has done, they have been stories of men and women.
Okay.
So you get brotherhood as well as sisterhood
Right.
that has occurred. One of the things that she does, which is certainly God inspired, is that she creates a community as soon as she gets everyone on board for the book. So she immediately connects everyone within the book. You know, they get to know names, faces. They have, even though they may be distal to one another, they may be around the country. She'll set up conference calls right at the very beginning. So they get on the phone, they can hear each other's voices, they get to share a little bit about one another. And then the culmination often is this book signing. So what she's doing this weekend is when she brings them all into the same physical environment. And they get a chance, if they haven't already, or if they are, you know, in the same general area. So in this particular book, there are a number of the authors who are here in the Dallas area. So some of them have connected and know each other. And she encourages, as these folks are moving around the country, so once they get to know each other and they go, and as an example, and they go, well, Ronnie, you're going to be, you know, you're going to New York, and Nikki, you're in New York. She'll connect them and say, y'all are in New York, y'all should stop and see each other. Y'all should spend a little bit of time with each other and kind of share your story. It is an unbelievable phenomenon when she gets them in the physical space, how quickly they bond. And so they bond so tightly at that point in time. When they exit the book signing experience, they're all working collaboratively to help one another get speaking engagements, to promote books. They're doing book signings together if they live near each other. And so we were talking earlier, and you know, Cheryl has done the executive producer Soul Purpose play. It's a part of what's called the Soul Movement. So she started with her second book, which was called Soul Reborn, and then the third book was called Soul Talk. The fourth was Soul Bearer. Then she has Sold Out, and there'll be a future book, Soul Told. I know I'm skipping some soul books. But each one has been a soul movement. So it's carried from the first one to the next one, although the authors are different. So they're all interconnected in one community now. So as I reference those 100 authors, they all know each other now. And so when they live together, like for instance, there's a couple authors that are living in the Carolinas. They've gotten together and done book signings. So like in Charlotte or Raleigh, Durham, or Columbia, South Carolina. They're working together and they're working it, and they're elevating each other, and it builds an incredible amount of momentum amongst the authors. It's really great.
And it's crazy because once again we're talking about something that's elementary for the most part. I think in society we've become to the point where we try to make things more complicated than would need be. You know what I'm saying? So like in Stephen Covey's book, if you ever go to read in his stuff is so elementary. Yes. You know, so elementary. Like I learned this in high school, in grammar school somewhere. But we get into corporate life and we just abandon all of that. And so it takes some. So we can read a book. Oh, that was profound. You know.
Learned that in first grade.
It should be on the basis of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You know.
But simple Simon.
Simple Simon.
You know, but I'm using that to say in a situation where, you know, once again, you're bringing back that sense of humanity, that compassion for each other, because I think we're so quick to be judgmental. You know what I'm saying? Men, we don't necessarily bond like we're supposed to. Women supposed to be so catty. You know, they all drama filled. Men, we're, you know, and because we put up this facade. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of causes us to kind of be a one-man island. Yeah. You know, so it takes someone like Cheryl to kind of say, hey, look, bring your island over here. Bring your island over here. We're going to bridge this gap. Yeah. You know.
And break barriers.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And as we continuously keep doing that, you know what I'm saying, we start to do back the thing that we were supposed to do in grammar school. Learn how to be friends among each other.
And
you know what
don't
I'm saying?
you think, too, I want to talk about that, breaking down the barriers. As you guys were talking, I was thinking this sense of community, this sense of family among, you know, not just black women, but women of all different nationalities, as Cheryl, you know, is working. It's something that's what God wants anyway. That's God's will. But when we cause ourselves to be in an island mode, then we're more divided. You know, and we start looking at racial lines, we start looking at economic lines, and it's anything to keep us separated from one another as human beings. You know, irregardless of skin tone, irregardless of, you know, religious background, whatever, we can all agree that we're all human beings. We all bleed, you know, we all bleed. So we can say, you know what, what's our common? We all want success. We all want that success factor. We may define it differently, but everyone wants, and this is the thing I was thinking about, as Russell was saying, success, in my definition, is true success is finding your sole purpose in life.
Go ahead,
you know, success. You know, a lot of people think, oh, it's how much money we make, or the type of cars, or you know, or this prestigious position.
That's right.
But think about how many people in life who have had those, you know, six figures or multi-million dollars, and yet they're still unhappy because there's an emptiness, there's a hole, because they're not doing what their sole purpose is supposed to be called to do. And until we grasp on that, you know, your sole purpose may be, and I think about this, it may be to be an educator, making $35,000, $40,000 a year, but that educator may be the next instructor that pushes forward that student that will become the next, you know, Pulitzer Prize, you know, or whatever.
Might be the next Bill Gates. You might be the educator that inspires the next Bill Gates.
So, you know, and that's something that a lot of times people don't want to say, well, you know, I want to be in the limelight. Well, it may not be your calling to be in the limelight. You may be, you know, because not everybody's called to be in the limelight. Not everybody's called to be in the forefront. Somebody has to be in the background pushing that forward. So, you know, that's something I was thinking about. And it all comes down to that bond of community. You know.
Exactly right.
That's pretty brilliant, though, to bring in authors together to share a story, right? Collectively, from different perspectives, different walks of life. It sounds like you said different ethnicities, different educational backgrounds, different economic backgrounds, but to come together, one mission. But telling a story that'll relate to millions all over the world. I mean, that's actually pretty brilliant. And to see, I can just imagine what happens when they come into the room together.
I know.
After not knowing each other, but still working on this collective project. I mean, God, I can just imagine what that feels like. We'll get to meet them tomorrow. Some of them.
I know, right?
Wait.
I'm gonna be there.
Yes.
Sign my book. This is my book.
No.
No. See,
that's the early editor's cut. Yeah. So, because you want the one that has my name on the front. You don't want that one.
Oh, okay, right.
It says forward by Russ Williamson.
That's how the head, right? I don't want this book.
Thank you.
Can you share? I know we're gonna get the book. No doubt we're gonna get the book, right? Can we all agree we're getting the book?
We get the book.
But can you share, especially for those listeners right now who are on the fence right now? Do I get the book? Can you share maybe one story that inspired you or impacted you the most as you went through this journey?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm gonna immediately gravitate to my wife, right? To the story that she shares. And that story is really about, and something that those who have spent time around her will hear her talk about, is that vision, decision, provision. And it is basically from the point that you made about understanding what your sole purpose is, right? So every one of us, and this is something I think it becomes very difficult for everyone to embrace, is that the Lord has already placed inside of you a vision. He has already given you a vision, and many of us stay on the path of trying to figure what that vision out is. And candidly, I would say we often lose time in that search. And so I'm going to come back to that part. You lose time on that search. So that vision, once that vision is revealed to you and you understand it, and the Lord has presented it to you, and you feel like this is the thing, right? This is where I need to go. It then still resides on you to make the decision. Right? He's going to present it and put it in front of you. And now you still have to decide, am I going to pursue this?
Right.
And if it's from the Lord, right, and you just make that decision to pursue it, He's going to make the provision.
Right.
Right?
And in the pursuit, though, there's some things that you have to do.
Yeah.
Right? We can't just say, I want to do it, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, I want to do it.
Right.
But then you don't do anything.
Right. Yeah, you have faith is a action word. Right? It isn't I just have faith and then it's going to come from like manna from heaven.
Right.
Which can happen. Not to say that we know that can happen because it's in the Word, right? It has happened. It can happen. But if you look at any of the stories, particularly when you look in the New Testament and you think about Jesus and all the miracles that He performed, if you look at every one of those stories, there requires an element of faith by the person that this miracle is going to impact. And so we all have to take action in our faith. So to your point, Ronnie, when you get that vision, it's going to require you to do something. And again, it means you make a decision. And this is what I love. This is what I love about my Father on high, is that He has never taken away our ability to choose. It is the one right that He has given us, and undeniably is yours.
Free will.
Free will. Your ability to make the decision.
That's right.
And so, but once you make that decision, He will. This is where oftentimes I think we get hesitant. Because we say, well, if I decide to go that way, who's going to do this? And who's going to take care of that?
The house.
The house. And that's where the faith really begins. Cheryl and I were having a conversation as we were going through the soul purpose. And there are many moments when you think about, how's this going to happen? How's this going to come together? Where are we going to get the, this or the other from?
Right.
And what landed on me in the conversation, as we were having that conversation, is that we believe, right, the Lord has us. He's going to walk us right up to the edge of our belief, but out on the ledge is faith.
Wow.
So I know that God's going, this is what He's already done. He's already shown me. So I believe God's going to do this. But where He really wants me to go, He wants me to take that leap. Right? Out here, where I don't know what's out there, but I just want you to have enough faith to know that when you jump out there, I'm going to catch you.
I got you.
I got you.
Yes.
And so let's keep pressing on. And my words to her oftentimes were, He has given you the vision. He has shown you to write it down and what the plan is. Keep executing on the plan. Even though you don't know where it's going, if you feel like this is where God is taking you, execute on the plan. And as she executed on the plan, He delivered. He continued to live, even when she didn't know, I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know when this is going to get done. I don't even know who's going to be involved. People would show up. And here's the testimony as watching God at work, right? So as we were coming to the final 2 days before we were doing the first performance, we were blessed by a young man. His name is Robert Gould. And Robert RG. He's a graduate of Berkeley Music. Okay. He's a friend of ours, friend of our family. He's like our nephew now. We've adopted him. Robert had come early on when we were in the process of preparing and practicing, and gave me some really good insight. I mean, I can't put into words how talented this brother is. If it's music, he understands it. This is for me as I describe musically. He's the individual who can hear the song once and he can play the whole song now.
Wow.
Right? He can tell you where, who's supposed to come in, what note it's on, when how's it supposed to drop. He has it down the first time through. He's also very talented in his acting skills and just his understanding of theater. Whoa. So he'd come early on to give us some pointers and share with the actors some things, and then he was on with the things that he does in his normal day to day, which take him around the country. Well, lo and behold, as we were getting down to we were within 48 hours of showtime. Robert, Cheryl and I are having conversations that nobody else knows about things we need to get done. Here comes Robert walking through the door. We didn't even know he was anywhere in town or near. He came in to help put the final tweaks on what needed to happen before we went to performance. And I can tell you his comments and his insight, his coaching, all spot on and delivered on stage, helped take it to the next level.
Yes.
But to me, it was one of those, as I share that story, it's one of those, well, how are we going to get this done? How are we going to get this done?
Your blessing right through the door.
The Lord sends the blessing right through the door. Thank you, Mickey. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. He sent it right through the door. We didn't know where it was going to come from, but here he appears. Nothing but a God. And a man of God. He's a man of God. And so I knew only the Lord sent him. It was like the angels ushered him right in there. This is where you need to be, Robert.
I had a breakthrough moment with RG. It was actually the day before, Thursday. He came through, and it was the scene that I was responsible for was I just found out that I was, had a terminal illness, right? And he said to me, oh my God. And so, again, I'm new to acting, and so I'm thinking, I need to act this out, You need to feel that I'm in pain, And he said, it was so funny, he said, Ronnie, all right, that was good, because I had to do it. He said, that was good. He said, well, this is what it felt like. He's throwing himself on the floor. Right? So I'm like, what's he doing? So he said, you don't need all of that. He said, I want you to think about this. Now, this is how good he is. He said, I want you to think about this. You have a secret that nobody else knows about. You have the secret. He didn't say, Ronnie, you have the illness secret. You have a secret. So now he's getting real deep with me, right? So I'm like, oh, snap, I do got a secret. And he goes, nobody knows, but it's killing you inside. I want you to deliver that as if out there in the audience, they have no idea what secret it is that you're going through. And so for me, I instantly went to my secret of being in this crazy turmoil of a relationship, and I'm covering up for my other half. I don't want anybody to see what's really going on.
Right?
So you can imagine the song and dance that you do to cover up. But this time he says, you can't cover it, so you can't cover this one up. So I want you to do that scene all over again. You knowing your secret, and tap into whatever secret it is. Because of course he didn't know this, right? So I'm like, oh shoot, so I gotta deal with this secret right now. And he literally forced me to deal with that secret in front of this audience. And it broke me down so hard. And I couldn't stop crying. But he said, you know what? That's where you need to be. Stop trying to act. And just go to the place where you need to go to deliver the message that you need to deliver. That's this kid's advice. This guy's genius.
25 years old.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, 25 years old. He's
that's the kind of people.
I can't put his talent in words. He's just that capable.
Really?
That kind of.
Wow.
That capable. But a God sends. I'm talking about that's the Lord delivering. That's how can you not go tell that story? Because that's supposed to, as we have this conversation, hopefully that story can help all of us, right? Somewhere as we walk along.
Wow.
I tell you what, I'm not afraid to fail. That's one thing I've learned out of this whole thing. And I can't wait to hear to read the stories of the book. I'm pretty sure I can relate to many of them, but to know that there's success on the other side of that failure, you don't mind. You go through it a little differently, right?
And to know that just because this didn't work doesn't mean that there's not another. Like this wasn't it. That's it. This wasn't it. God has something else in store.
That's right.
Exactly. You learn something from every experience, and you take that knowledge on to the next one until you get where God had what He has for you.
That's it.
But if you stop, like they say, you can't fail until you quit. Now, if you quit, you guarantee you won't make it to success.
That's right.
But you have to keep going.
That's it.
Yes.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It reminds me of the adage, one door closes, another one opens.
Exactly.
But you have to be able to ready yourself to walk through that door.
And like they said, thank him for the closed doors as well as the open doors.
That's
Because
true.
sometimes it's like, this is what you wanted, but that's
Right.
not it. So be thankful that he stopped you
That's true. That's true.
before you got too deep into that mistake.
That's true.
Love it.
Keep walking. Keep walking.
So I mean that what the young man said kind of
Wow.
you know what I'm saying, it kind of resonates because you I think we all have secrets. I always say we all have secrets.
Yeah.
And to be able to dig from that place to kind of deliver with a level of what leaves the heart reaches the heart. You know what I'm saying? I think that in itself,
You're exactly right. Yeah.
you know, people could feel that. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, not necessarily knowing that they know what you're up there to think about the secret, but they can actually feel. Because I think
You need
we
to
all
tweet that
go
out
through,
there.
we all go through pain.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We all go through pain, and
That's
that
right.
we're notoriously known for covering it up. Once again, I think that's part of what society has taught us to do. You know, and we've become masterminds at it. We're very good at it. We're good at covering up. And I think in that, I think when it comes to success, I think with the conversation we had earlier is that we don't know how to get to certain places because we don't have the people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say the crabs in the barrel mentality because I think at the end of the day, it's just you can't really teach somebody something that they don't know.
Right.
You know, we're a product of our environment. Now, I want to, as bad as I want to hold on to that, I look at my circumstance because for me, I've been around since I was 14 years old. So I never had a male mentor. I never had any. The streets is what raised me, you know. But no one would ever know if I didn't say anything,
Right.
you know. But all in that, but I still a strong believer that we still need to have compassion regardless, you know, because at the end of the day, what I went through, someone else probably can, you know. So if you put your stuff out there, as bad as we think that our situation is, you know, if we put it out there and we start seeing other people's situation, nah, give me mine back.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah, mine wasn't that bad. I can work with mine. Take that back.
One of the things, and I was just having that conversation on the way here, one of the things I've always said is I have a story. And I have gone through some things that it's like, what? Like no one would ever be like, nah, not Nikki, you know.
Right.
But and I didn't stay there. I came out of it, but I know that all of that was for a purpose.
Yes.
And it wasn't for me.
Yes.
It's for someone else. It's for me to tell my story because there are some young girls out there that's like, I can't.
That's right.
And it's like, yes, you can.
Yeah.
But they don't have someone to tell them, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Get back up. Let's go.
That's
You
right.
can do this. So everything that we go through is for a purpose that's greater than ourselves.
Yes.
So true.
I think
So true.
as I'm listening, here's the thing. I've sat and talked. I remember when I was a youth mentor, talking to some young men, to hear that a lot of times as human beings, it goes back to also what J.K. was saying earlier. Fear. We live in fear of, fear of failure, fear of, can I do this? But then also we have to break out, not just breaking it out of that box, but, being willing to step out of our comfort zone.
That's it.
Step out of our comfort zone. And it's so hard, as human beings. It takes a very special person, what I call trailblazers. You have those individuals that they are just, they're the daredevils. They're the ones that, okay, I've never done this before. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna do it, but
Let's see what
but not everyone. Not now. Now to say this, not everyone is like that. And then some people, as J.K. was saying, some people, they have to be coerced or they don't know. They don't know. Okay, I don't know. They don't have that gumption, that drive. And so they have to have someone mentoring coming alongside of them. Because I remember when I was a youth mentor with Urban League, just talking to some young men, it's like, look, don't be afraid to take, is it something that you want to do? Yeah, You know, is it legitimate? Yeah, okay. That's one thing. Is it legitimate? Okay, check that box. Okay, check that box. I got to check that box. But you know, whatever that's legitimate, and also I always put God in there. I said, okay, do you believe in God? Yeah. Okay, so have you prayed about it? Because a lot of things too, we have to also realize it may not be God's will for you to go that way. It's a good thing. It might be a good thing. Like, you know, it could be like, I remember hearing the story of a young man that wanted to play football. He wanted to play football. Nothing wrong playing football. But then I go back to that torn ACL. You know, when he got into college, he had a dream. I was talking to this young man. He had a dream of playing pro. But, you know, he got that torn ACL. And so then he had to go to a different route. Yeah. So our vision, you know, for success may be this road, but God says no. You know, this door, as one door closes, you got to be willing to be, you know, take that gumption and say, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna go this way. It's hard.
It is difficult.
It is difficult. It ain't easy, but you got to be willing. But if you want to just live in that fear of that comfort zone, then you're never gonna go anywhere. Right. That's it.
Well, we're coming to a close. We had a great conversation.
Come on now.
You know, it was definitely great. The success factor. Let me see.
Get the book.
There you go.
It's not my book. It's not my book. But apparently I'm getting.
There is a book waiting for you.
There's a book waiting for you.
What's your name on it?
Exactly.
And so we have to come to realize that the success factor does have different definitions. You know, we have to realize that everything is not from a monetary perspective. Everything is not from a status perspective. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we just want to be successful and just be whatever. You know, whatever that definition is. You know, but what we have to do is live life, the one that God has given us. You know. We have to also realize that the death ratio is 1 out of 1. You know?
Guaranteed you will die.
I tell you, a startling fact that someone shared with me is that at some point, you'll be the next person on earth to die. I was like, wow. Kind of goes along with what you just said.
So, Russell, why don't we tell the audience where can we pick up the book?
Yes. So the book will, obviously we're having a book signing this weekend. So we would love for the listening audience and for everyone here, obviously, to join us at the book signing that's going to be held at the Hilton Garden Inn on North Stemmons Freeway in Dallas, Texas.
6:30, right?
6:30 to 9:30 p.m. And 7 of the authors that are in the book will be in attendance. And they'll share a little bit of their stories and certainly give you just a bit of a teaser of what's in the book. And hopefully, you know, you'll find something compelling that'll make you want to pick up a copy for yourself and maybe even a copy for someone else to share. One of the things I do want to add is we also, as a part of our give back, is we often ask for books to be, you know, purchased and donated. So, you know, Cheryl supports a number of, you know, at-risk, I'll say homes for at-risk women, abused or domestic violence women to help them as well. So, you know, if you can't think of a book that I want to get, maybe I don't want, but maybe I can get one to donate for someone who could benefit from it as well. So it's also available on Amazon.com. You can get it there, certainly as obviously in the paperback or as e-read as well. But it'll be available where books are sold. So you'll be able to get it in
Barnes and Noble.
Those two will be either directly or actually on Cheryl's website as well. So which is in the jacket of the book.
Awesome.
So Cheryl Polote-Williamson.com.
All right.
Awesome.
And with that being said, any last words from anyone?
I really got blessed from this conversation. You
all
would not
so.
I really did. No, seriously. I had a conversation on my way over here, and you just kind of completely spoke to it. I'm like, okay. That's how he do though.
That is how he does. I've been there many times.
Well, you know, what I'm supposed to do. My last words I want to say is this session today has made me think about this family and for myself. Each individual, find your success story. Don't chase after someone else's success story or what you think is success, but find your own. That's what I got out of it today. Find your own success story.
And so as we depart, I want you to always know, Once you sit at the kitchen table with us, you are family for life.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for embracing me. I'm glad to be a part of it. Yes. Appreciate you. Yeah.
And so let me close us out. My engineer's not here, so let me go put the thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes,
My pleasure.
great job.
I can't wait to
Thank
get
you
the
for
book.
inviting me.
Yes.
What church did you go to?
St. John,
Okay.
Unleashed. There's 2 campuses. One's in Grand Prairie and
Okay.
the other one's in South Lake.
You talked about the key.